What is up, Square Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're going to be talking some tech. I haven't done a tech talk video in quite some time, and with set 13, quietly approaching, I am looking at some options or some juicy cards to implement into my strategies into set 13. So before we start talking about some tech, I just want to shed some light on what's going on right now in the world of Dragon Ball Super. Pre-release is scheduled to be this weekend for most LGSs. I know ours at Gamer's Edge is going to be this Saturday, but I did hear in the community or through the community that there was an issue with a lot of shipments from distributors. So I'm not exactly sure how much product is going to get allocated to certain stores. If you are in the situation where you can go out and support your local gaming store and participate in a Dragon Ball Super event, I would strongly encourage it right now, because God knows what's going to happen to all that product, and when obviously there's a supply, the demand usually spikes the prices. So for those of you who are looking to either collect or make sure that you have all your cards ready for set 13 meta, I would definitely encourage to go out to your pre-releases, support your local gaming shops, and make sure you get your hands on all those goodies. And I think that if there is a lack of product, set 13 is going to be very heavily bought and sold and also traded on the local level. So just something to keep your eye out. For those of you who've pre-ordered, you have nothing to worry about. Hopefully you guys get your cards very soon so you can start playing and testing. Even though the set doesn't officially release until next week, we are having pre-release this weekend, so ban lists taken into effect, and I'm sure, gentlemen's agreements and stuff like that, people will be, testing set 13s in their locals. So with that getting that out of the way, I just wanted to kind of talk about some tech. It's not really just one card, it's a group of cards that we got in Battle Evolution. I'm calling them counter blockers, and the reason I'm calling them counter blockers is because each color has a specific card that coincides with each color. So you have red, green, yellow, and you have blue, of course. Counter blockers, basically they are 2 cost extra cards that when you tap the energy to play them, you negate the attack, and it also creates a token, an XX token or whatever, that's a 10k blocker essentially. So you have the meta tokens for green, you have the Frieza army tokens, I think, for or the chill tokens for yellow, and the blue and the red are escaping me right now, but obviously you can see the cards on the screen there, so you can always pause the video and check them out there. But essentially what it does is, for 2 energy you can negate the attack and then create a token blocker, which is essentially going to stop 2 attacks. But the nifty part about it is, if you have 5 or less life, you can activate the card by just taking a life and not paying its energy cost. So it's kind of like a pseudo sparking negate, i.e. like Dimension Magic or Time Magic or whatnot, but you don't have to have sparking to meet the condition. You just have to have 5 or less life. So for those strategies that really like to get their opponent down from 5 to 3 with a double strike, this is the perfect card to kind of counter that. So you want to try to push damage as much as possible on your opponent, but you want to get them down to an uncomfortable level so you can push lethal more consistently. So, for as long as I can remember, pushing your opponent down from 5 to 3 has always been like the way to go, because it's one less card they have to play defensively with. Also, looking at that right now, obviously there's a lot of self-awakening leaders in the meta, but the bottom deck draw 2 super combos, they activate when you're at 4 life. So your opponent definitely wants to get to some shape or combination of 4 life. So if you want to drag them down from 5 to 3, that is very viable. Now defensively, if you're playing these counter blockers, you can basically mitigate that double strike by going down from 5 to 4, countering the attack and giving yourself a blocker. So you saved yourself a double strike and you're putting a blocker on board for your opponent to have to deal with. I really like these cards. I think they add a very nice defensive element to the game. Obviously, blue and yellow have always been your more heavily defensive colors, but now that green and red have access to a lot more defensive purpose, a lot more defensive plays. Red's gotten a huge boost with like Violent Rays and the new King Vegeta card that's coming out in set 13. So I definitely feel it's like a top contender. But for your more budget options, for players who are looking for more utility out of certain cards, it is only 2 energy to hardcast it, but it's also free if you can just take a life down. If you have, like I said, 5 or less life, you can just take a life and go down to 4 and play this card without paying its energy cost. I really like cards like that because it's getting you essentially a card economy. It's getting you a 2-for-1. Because you're getting a blocker on board and you're getting a resource from your life to your hand, so it's a 2-for-1. So essentially you go +1 in overall economy, but you also go +2 if you're thinking logistics of the game, because you're not only you're adding a card to the board, adding a card to your hand, and then also stopping your opponent's attack. So that one card is doing 3 things. It's replacing itself with a blocker, so that breaks even, and then the draw that you get off of life and the negate that you get off of your opponent is a +2 essentially. So it depends on how you're looking at it, card economy wise, but cards like this with multiple utilities I really do enjoy. Obviously, worst case scenario, if you draw too many or you're playing too many copies, you can always charge. I think the sweet spot for these, it depends on how many negates you want to play in your deck. I like to hover around 6 to 8 negates depending on what color I'm playing. Right now, I'm really focusing heavily on yellow with Future Gohan, so I am playing 2 Nimbus, 3 Time Magic, and 1 of these counter blockers in the main. So I'm playing 6 negates, but obviously if you're playing blue, you'll probably play closer to 8, just because blue is inherently more defensive than yellow. But aside that, I just kind of wanted to shed some light on these cards. Battle Evolution Booster, I was very surprised by it. I think it's a really, really good set. I think it came out with a lot of good cards that you can just throw in a deck and have some good options for certain strategies. The reprints are definitely nice. The alternate arts are definitely nice. I was really impressed. I think it's a great set. I'm not really fond of all these supplemental sets in between core sets, but I do see the benefits of having Battle Evolution Booster because it's a good jumping on point for new players. So I definitely rank it in my top 5 sets of Dragon Ball Super that has been released. I might get a lot of hate in the comments for it, but I definitely like the utility, and I definitely like the variety of cards that you get in this set. So with that being said, don't forget to comment down below. Let's open this up for discussion, see what you guys think about these new counter blockers, and let me know what you guys are looking forward to out of set 13, and if you're going to be attending your pre-releases this weekend. So like, share, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.